They did in the DMR and the 5K last night.
And now to the track. We will begin the men's mile prelim. We will have 4 heats. There you see the records. Tare has that NCAA record at 3:50.39. Please keep in mind that 10 advance to Saturday's championship. The top 2 in each heat, plus the next 2 best times. Again, we will have 4 heats, and we'll focus in this first heat on Stephen Jackson of Boston College, North.
Yes, hopefully we can see him with hip 10. There he is. That is Steve Jackson. Now listen to this. Steve has run 3:55.39. 50 years ago, the ACC record was set by a Tar Heel, Tony Waldrop. It was broken this year. That was 3:55, so this guy would have been right on it. Today, in these 4 heats, we have a 3:55, a 3:54, a 3:55, and a 3:54. Unbelievable depth in this country. 104 athletes in the NCAA have broken 4 minutes in the mile this year. It's a crazy, crazy miling world in terms of how good these runners have gotten recently. A lot of people say it's shoes, some say it's training, some it's the faster tracks. But it's probably a combination of all those things. But for right now, the home crowd is all for Stephen Jackson of Boston College. Also, the pride of new BC coach, Watson, Pete Watson.
I was speaking with Pete Watson prior to the ACCs. And Norm, you know this as the longtime coach of Duke as well, that the men's program at Boston College is a non-scholarship program. So you get a lot of the student athletes that maybe come from a different school. They want to be there is the bottom line. They spend a lot of money to go to that school, and they're flourishing for the Eagles and what Coach Watson, to your point, is building at BC.
He's doing a great job, and I know how hard that job is because that was the situation we were in at Duke for the first 10 years. No scholarships, but you can still get it done, and he's proving that with Mr. Phillips and their great DMR team, which just last week, their DMR just did a phenomenal job. First lap, 32 seconds, so nice and chill, like sometimes these heats are. You know, BC was going into the weekend, they were the number 10 DMR in the nation. That's probably going to take a bit of a setback this weekend with so many teams still trying to get in. And they got they only got 3rd in the DMR last night because they're trying to get appropriate people rested and not run too many races. Jackson, though, primed to try and make the final.
Lies out in front for North Carolina State. Jackson, to your point, Norm, is in 2nd. ACKLEY's in 3rd, and Daelen ACKLEY, one to keep in mind, 6th best mile time of any ACC runner, 3:58.02.
The runner on the inside there with hip number 2 from Duke, that's Rory CAVAN. He's a senior. He's run 4:02, and he really probably has no chance of making the final, which is just remarkable to me. Because for years and years, 4:05 would make the final. Sometimes it would win. The number of milers that are again, under 4 or at that 4-minute mark is truly impressive. Now we've got NC State, Miles Alley, 65.3. at 400, so again, this is like 420 mile paces. This is the exact opposite of what you might expect when you've got 3:55 guys in the race. They're all thinking, all milers think they got a kick, and right now they're just running slow and tactical. But as you can see, everybody in the heat, you know, you could literally throw a blanket over them. They are super tight. 800 meters now, about halfway in 2:11.8. So they have not even picked it up. They've actually slowed slightly in the 2nd quarter. So this is really a pedestrian pace for these guys. Now on the outside, moving up in the tall athlete, that's Beck WITTSTADT of Duke, and he's going all the way into the lead. He is a half miler first and foremost, so he's got to run early. He's not going to outstrength these guys. But since it's turned into kind of a half-mile race, that might favor a guy like WITTSTADT.
Coming up the last 600 meters, it's WITTSTADT from Baltimore and representing Duke out in front. TOOMEY is in 2nd. That made a surge from Matthews, North Carolina. ACKLEY's in 3rd as well.
That pace just picked up to 31 flat in the last lap after they were running 32.5s for pretty much the first 4 laps. So this has been an uptick in pace, but it probably needs to be more drastic if a guy like WITTSTADT's going to steal a spot in the finals. Notre Dame, you know, in 3rd there, with ACKLEY.
I like ACKLEY's position, though, Norm.
ACKLEY's in a great position. The question is,
shouldered off from TOOMEY there. You see, he's in position to get into 1st.
Well, the BC athlete with the 3:55 PR, he needs to move up in a hurry. I'm not sure why he's not closer to the front. WITTSTADT, though, of Duke, And now here comes Jackson. Jackson of BC. Now, just as I said that, he bolts into the lead. 1 lap to go. No one's going to catch him.
Jackson became the first BC runner in program history to run a sub 4-minute mile, and he's pulling away from this first heat.
That last lap at Jackson's 27.2. Now that's more like it.
Steven Jackson out in front here for the Eagles and Coach Watson's unit.
Now the question is, who's going to get in that second position?
ACKLEY's fending off. It is Jackson who will win the Heat 1, and ACKLEY will finish in second. Wake Forest with Paul SPECHT in third. Jackson coming in at 4:06.63.
Jackson ran very smart because, you know, his last full 400, by the way, 53.5. He went 27.2, 26.3. We're gonna watch Jackson when he starts to accelerate shortly. There he is in third place, and he just decides, I need to make this an authoritative move. And that's how you really need to run it. When you make a move, you make it all the way and you make it hard. 1 to go there, and then he finishes off again with 26.3 in the last circuit. And he's in great shape. He's got what you call the auto qualifier because he won his heat. But the Notre Dame athlete, ACKLEY, he may not make it because that's a slow time to make this kind of caliber field, you know, with all these other sub 4-minute milers in the field. So that's also an open invitation for these other heats now to start running a little faster. Second place in any of these heats is not a guarantee. Top 2, forgive me, it's top 2 auto.
Yep.
Oh, because they take 10 to the final. That's right. Okay, makes sense. Yeah.
Yep.
Top two in each heat. So ACKLEY is in.
Correct.
It's Paul SPECHT who has to sweat it out. Rory CAVAN, who we talked about earlier, ends up 4th in 4:10.08. That has no chance to make it. Now we go to Heat 2, and we have another blazing fast time. This time we'd like to look at Gary Martin, who's wearing hip number 6 on the back of the outside. You see a tall guy with glasses. That is Gary Martin, and he was one of the top freshman sensations last year for Virginia after having an incredible prep career. He was the top high school miler his senior year of high school. There's Gary.
In high school, he had the 4th fastest high school mile in U.S. history at the time, 17th best nationally.
More amazing recently, he ran a 3:51.9 anchor last weekend on the DMR. So Gary certainly one of the guys that could win this ACC championship tomorrow. You see the cones there keeping those 4 athletes on the outside. There's Porter. Porter anchored the DMR last night for Virginia.
He was great, by the way. And we called a thrilling race there. 9th best mile time in the ACC for Wes PORTER, to your point, at 3:58.37. So now you'll see the groups converge. Here we'll go 8 laps in the second heat of the men's mile prelims, all building into our championship Saturday.
As you can see, Porter was looking all around. He was very measured as he decided where to situate himself. He decided 4th, a little bit outside. That protects him from getting boxed, gives him plenty of freedom to move. And he's got Gary Martin behind him. So, and we got a Virginia leading up front. So we got a little team running going on here. I'm sure Coach Vin Lanana, the longtime fantastic distance coach at Virginia, as well as their head coach. By the way, that second lap was a bit faster. They were 31.2. And at 400, they were about 61.4 maybe. And so this is definitely a faster heat than the first, which is what you'd expect. Gary Martin there, he's just, you can see him extend his hand out to make sure he doesn't run into anyone. But he's probably well within himself. Like I said, he ran a 3:51 just a week ago. 3:51 was a Jim Ryan American record back in the day, back when young people like me were admiring the long, tall kid from Kansas. But now we have a new generation of milers, and there's just so many good ones.
Watchell out front, Coleman and DAGANE for Duke, 1 through 3 so far. But Justin Watchell has the lead here for the Cavaliers. See him looking back at the field here tactically.
Yes, he is. He wants to make sure the pace goes out fast enough that, you know, the guys who finish 2nd and 3rd in this heat maybe can get in. I mean,
look at Martin on the outside, though, Norton.
Yep, Martin on the outside of Porter, too. I mean, obviously, if Cavs had their choice, they'd get both Martin and Porter into the final in the top 2 positions. And I think that's what, like, you just saw Gary talk to Porter, and there goes Porter behind him. We're at 2:06.6. at 809 meters, which is basically 2 laps to go. This is a full mile, so it's 8 laps plus 9 meters. We are coming up now on 3 to go. 3 laps to go.
It's Martin on the outside, just behind Ethan Coleman of Virginia Tech. Porter's now in 5th place. So Gary Martin is going to take the lead here for the Cavaliers.
Yes, as you'd expect. Gary Martin will probably pick up the pace quite a bit now as we're coming up actually on the bell lap already. Now NEAL from North Carolina moves to the outside, and he's going to take the lead first, making the first move. NEAL of UNC.
400 left in this one. It is North Carolina out in top with Aiden NEAL. Gary Martin's in 2nd. Ethan Coleman is in 3rd for Virginia Tech. See how he handles this bank here for Gary Martin, who's still in 2nd. Can Aiden NEAL hang on here at the bell? It is NEAL for the Tar Heels out in front. Gary Martin's in 2nd.
Martin's in the better position.
That outside, he's hugging that right shoulder of NEAL, Dorm.
Coming up on 100 meters to go. Look at Coleman from Va Tech.
Ethan Coleman trying to gain some ground. The same with Wes Porter. Here comes Porter on the inside. Can Aiden NEAL hold on? Here's Gary Martin. And Gary Martin gets it. It is a 1-2 for Virginia. Wes Porter will be in 2nd. Those two will be automatic qualifiers in the Saturday's final.
Martin's last lap, 54.5. 54.5. Now, bubble going in was 4:10.08. Now it's a lot lower. Pretty good run in there. Excellent tactical work on the 2 from Virginia. Like I said, that was their plan. Martin and Porter to the final. Aiden NEAL, though, with an excellent shot now with 4:05.79 to get at least one guy extra in on time.
How about that kicking there by Wes Porter in particular to fend off and get better positioning of Ethan Coleman to get that 2nd spot. Here's Coleman right here. It's a great shot by our crew for Virginia Tech. And then you're going to see a little bit later than that, Wes Porter just strike right in, Norm.
Yes.
Right there. It's a great look.
Yep. That's an aggressive move to kind of just split between the two. But, you know, Coleman from Virginia Tech, I did think looked really good in that position. But those guys just have so much more fitness in them and such a better kick. 4:06.01 is the new bubble time after 2 heats. Now we're coming up to heat 3. Let's throw another 3:55 miler at you in this next heat. There you see all the results. And like I said, NEAL's probably in real good shape. Maybe Coleman in terms of getting in on time. But we'll see how these last 2 heats go. Anyway, in this heat, the other 3:55 miler is Parker Wolf of North Carolina. Parker's best event is the 3,000 or the 5,000. But in this meet, they're trying to get more points perhaps out of him and maybe tune him up a little bit for nationals by not doing a 3K, 5K double, but he's doing a mile 3K double. That means 3 races in about 26 hours. So it's a tough assignment, but if anyone can handle it, Parker can, because he's a strength miler, clearly, with his incredible times at 3K and 5K.
And heat 3 is underway. Again, the top 2 in each heat advance to our Saturday final in the mile. And the next 2 best times. Wolf is one to keep an eye on. Also, Finn Walsh for Pitt. Nathan Mountain is in lane number 5. Declan Reimer is in lane number 11 for the Hokies. We mentioned Wolf. He was the 2022 ACC Male Cross Country Athlete of the Year. Oh, by the way, he also has anchored that DMR team that's 2nd best nationally right now. But Virginia Tech setting the pace out in front with Azan Dawson. Wolf's in 2nd, and the aforementioned Reimer is in 3rd.
A lot of familiar names if you were watching the ACC cross country meet last year. Most of these guys were up in the top 20 of a very good distance conference. Dawson of Virginia Tech, the early leader, coming up now on the 400 mark. They were 30.1 at 200. And now Dawson takes them through in roughly 63 seconds. 63.3 for Dawson. Now Parker Wolf moving into 2nd. Wolf is number 4 in the nation in the 5,000 coming into the weekend. He's also number 3 in the nation at 3K.
So Norm, is there anything you can do tactically, knowing all those accolades that Parker Wolf has, to kind of derail him in this race?
Well, not really.
I figured that was coming.
Because he, you know, if you run hard, that's what he wants. And if you run slow, he's not going to put up with it. I mean, he knows where his best strengths are. So, now this, I think this is just a Duke runner who took the lead, trying to take a little of the sting perhaps out of the kick.
He's a grad student transfer from Dartmouth.
Yes, and Duke, like a lot of schools, has figured out that if you can get an Ivy League athlete who's had success in the Ivy League, you bring him in for 1 year as a grad student, you can get experience that you just can't match with younger athletes. 2:08, so they've slowed it down.
And Reimer's now going to be in 3rd for Virginia Tech, Norm. Wolf just out in front over Winslow of Duke.
You got to picture this though. Wolf could run 65s like all day. He could run that for, you know, a 5K. So this pace is still very easy for him. He just has to keep that top 2 position in mind and not get boxed, which he is right now a little bit. 3 laps to go. We just passed 1,000 meters in roughly 2:40.
Declan Reimer out of Downingtown, Pennsylvania, Downingtown STEM Academy. There is a rich tradition in Pennsylvania, not too far outside of Philadelphia, for what Reimer's doing. And emblazoning that here at the ACCs. He's out in front. By the way, Nathan Mountain has jumped into 2nd. Caden Dyer for Virginia is trying to get into the mix. Here is Parker Wolf out in front yet again.
2 to go. You'd expect the move to be made at this point. I was going to say Nathan Mountain also is a good jumper, and not just jumping into 2nd or 3rd, but he was a very good steeplechaser for the Cavaliers as well.
No doubt. 4th in the 3,000 steeplechase at the NCAA championships, but it is Parker Wolf out in front. Declan Reimer trying to hold on into 2nd. Here comes Nathan Mountain though, and Mountain will have that 2nd at the bell for the final 200 for the star Parker Wolf of North Carolina.
If you doubted that Parker Wolf can kick, he's proven you wrong right here.
There are no doubts here for this Tar Heel sensation Parker Wolf. Let's see the time though.
It'll be a little over 4 minutes, but very impressive nonetheless. And again, he's got 2 more races to run tomorrow.
Parker Wolf will win heat number 3. Who's going to get 2nd? It will be Nathan Mountain. Those 2 will qualify, Norm, for our final tomorrow.
That means Virginia's got at least 3 in the final. His last lap for Parker Wolf, 27.4, 27.1 for 54.5. Not too many 5K guys can close in 54.5. Parker Wolf is one of them. And here we looking back now. This is coming off the turn. And Wolf thinks, okay, it's time. That's coming off the first turn. And now past, well, that was actually the 2nd turn with the penultimate lap. And now we're on the final lap, and he's going to just start pulling away. Parker Wolf, cool, calm, and collected. He's certainly the star distance runner in the ACC this year.
Yeah, so also keep in mind that Cerberus and Finn right now with their times at 4:05.83 and 4:05.86 are in that bubble time is off. That was 4:06.01.
Right, so 4:05.83 is the new bubble time with 1 heat to go and 1 more 3:55-ish miler. This one is going to be here in his 4th heat. Also from the University of North Carolina, like Parker Wolf. This is Ethan Strand. And we talked about Tony Waldrop having the school record at UNC for 50 years. It was back in 1974 that Waldrop had a magical indoor season. He ran 7 consecutive sub-4 miles, which was a big deal back then. It had never been done before. And he did it all on 11 lap to the mile tracks. So, you know, we're now on an 8 lap to the mile track, or actually a 200-meter track, but, you know, just light years easier than what these old wooden tracks they used to train on. And they'd race in places like Madison Square Garden in New York and San Diego. San Diego's actually where he set the 3:55 record. But Ethan Strand is now the new king of the mile at UNC.
He is right off the NCAA cut line as well, getting to the championships. By the way, that will be in 2 weeks right here at the track at New Balance. So I just want to give a shout before, as you see the athletes coming out, a shout out to Boston College hosting the ACC Indoor Championships, to their staff and everybody involved in our entire crew doing an exceptional job. Calling day 2.
Yeah, it is, what you say is unbelievable that he's got a time of 3:54.62, and there's no guarantee that he's making the NCAA.
That's the big storyline.
Yeah.
See if that factors in, obviously.
But the other interesting thing is, you know, are you going to be able to run fast tomorrow in the final? You know, so we'll see. They certainly haven't blitzed any, you know, today. You know, we haven't had a blazing fast time, so, you know, maybe that will set up a faster final for tomorrow. There's certainly 4 guys at least that feel like they belong in the NCAAs. You know, generally if you run 3:55, that would always made the meet in the past. For a long time, 4 minutes was a cinch to get in the NCAA meet. There's Ethan Strand. Again, the UNC school record holder, and it might not be such a big deal at every school in the country, but at UNC, it was a hell of a mark. 3:55, it lasted for 50 years. But it's gone now, and Ethan Strand is the new holder of it.
I saw a moment ago, Norm, he won the 3K at the ACC Indoor Track and Field Championships a year ago, hosted by Louisville. Also keep in mind James Donahue as well, 11th at the ACC time. There's Donahue right on cue here for Virginia. Can they get a 4th runner into the championship?
They definitely can, and I'm sure that's their plan. We'll see, you know, but that would be phenomenal if they could work that, because then they could set up their team tactics again, kind of like they did with Martin and Porter earlier in the heats. So yeah, I mean, if I had to pick, you know, Strand and a Virginia athlete would be the 2 most likely auto qualifiers.
So see if Donahue can get into that final tomorrow. The same with Strand, Andy Anderson, Joe Sapone, Ryan Cavalier, also some others to watch out for in this race. This is the 4th and final heat, by the way. Top 2 will advance, and then we'll get those next best times. That bubble time again at 4:05.86 as you watch this heat. As Mills out in front here,
31
for
point,
Virginia Tech.
31.2 at the 200, very typical of the other heats. I was thinking this one might go a little faster, and they can still do that, but I see a little shoving around there. Strand having to go way outside to kind of get near the front. And he's currently in 5th place. Virginia runner on the inside in 3rd position, 4th position.
Zubeir, that's at 6, that's 4:05.83. So that is that bubble time as you watch this one with North Carolina State's Wesley Larson out in front here in this 4th heat.
The NC State runners have led a couple of these early laps in the heats this afternoon. We haven't seen any Wolfpacker being around when it counts at the end. Right now, though, NC State still leading Virginia Tech, and then Mr. Strand.
Yeah, Laurie Hennis has done a great job with the North Carolina State program. Also seeing Coach Geiger around as well. I know your friend and fellow coaching competitor for many years.
Yes.
Great to see him here, too.
Raleigh still rolls up the sleeves and gets out the stopwatch. And he has no plans to retire anytime soon. He wants everyone to know that.
3 straight women's cross-country titles for North Carolina State. I know this is men's mile, but just what that program is doing for the Wolfpack. Great things. It is Larson out in front. Again, Mills is in 2nd for Virginia Tech. And Ethan Strand is in 3rd, very comfortable on the outside for the Tar Heels.
Everyone's very comfortable, 2:08.1. So this has been like every other heat. They're just slowing down in the middle. Just that international characteristic of a miler. They all think they have great kicks, and obviously some of them do. But just 3 laps to go now.
Ethan Strand is out in front. North Carolina State with Wesley Larson falls into second.
Now your Virginia runner, who we're hoping to see if the Cavaliers can get that fourth guy in, he's coming to the outside. He realizes Donahue needs to get with Strand. And if they can get clear of everybody else, then they can run. And they can even afford to slow it down a little in the last lap if they get clear of them. But if it's a competitive fight, anything can happen. Here comes Sapone of UNC to try and join Strand, perhaps.
Final 400, and still Strand, Larson, and Anderson of Syracuse also in the mix right now in third, trying to keep James Donahue from going to the outside. And watch Donahue.
Anderson takes the lead.
And it's Anderson for Syracuse who's out in front. 10th best ACC time coming in at 3:58.78. Him and Strand going towards the bell lap. Strand takes the lead in the final 200 for North Carolina. Virginia running third here.
He's got to get close to the top two to get in on time, based on the slow half-mile time we had. Last lap for Strand, 28 flat. And probably a very similar split for Anderson. Strand and Anderson coming down the last few meters.
See how Donahue does with his time as well. It's Strand and Anderson who win the heat. Donahue checked in. See that final time at 4:05.
I think Donahue's the last one in.
He is in. Good call there. Yes, he does get past that bubble time. Congrats to James Donahue. And by my count, that's 5 Cavaliers that we'll see in the final. Here's the finish, Norm.
Well, Strand looking back, says everything's under control. Second place knows he's got it. Bennett having to dig down.
Well, congrats to Ethan Strand, continuing his prowess. He has been dominating in his career at North Carolina. And I know Coach Milton Berg has to be really proud. This is undoubtedly, we said yesterday, for those just tuning in, big theme, you're seeing the top distance conference on display here at the ACC Indoor Championships. So Ethan Strand will be there tomorrow. We will have that call of the men's mile. Here is the heat results. This was the last of 4. Strand, Anderson, Donahue does qualify with that 4:05.53. Congratulations to Virginia and Vin Lanana as well. We'll step aside. We will give you the last results and those that have qualified for the men's mile, and then go to the women's mile after this.